Hello, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Allison Brown with Furman University facilitating this session. Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all North and South Carolina students, sponsored by the Carolinas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers and StriveScan. Thank you so much for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to help type in your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many sessions offered through the CACRAO organization, so be sure to check out the full schedule at CACRAO, CACRAO.org. This presentation is also being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website of CACRAO.org. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenters.
Good afternoon. My name is Kyle Wooden, and I'm the Director of Admission at Guilford College. I work with students specifically from the Piedmont Triad through their application, the financial aid and decision process. My colleagues will introduce themselves shortly and go over their recruitment territories and responsibilities, as well as some additional information about Guilford and everything we have to offer here. But before I turn it over to them, I wanted to personally thank all of you for taking the time out of your busy afternoon to learn a little bit more about Guilford this afternoon. Before Morgan and Jalen get started, please know that we are dedicated to serving you throughout the entirety of the admission process. Our application is currently live, and it's 100% free to apply. All of our accepted students also receive a merit scholarship upon their acceptance. So from the moment we receive all of your application materials, we guarantee that you'll hear back from us within 2 weeks with your admissions decision and your merit scholarship. So we look forward to working with all of you over the course of the next year, and in some cases, several years for you underclassmen. I know this year is incredibly untraditional, but please know that we are here for you throughout this process. So without further ado, it's time to learn a little bit more about Guilford. Morgan and Jalen.
Thanks, Kyle. Really appreciate it. Hey, everybody. My name is Morgan. I'm the Assistant Director of Admission here at Guilford College in Greensboro. I work with students specifically from the western half of North Carolina and the eastern half of North Carolina. So if you fall within those territories, I look forward to working with you throughout your admission process. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Jalen. He's going to introduce himself, and we will get started.
Hey everybody, my name is Jalen Pearson. I am one of the admissions counselors here at Guilford as well. I work with students directly in the Triangle area, so students in Wake County, Durham, Orange, all the way down to, I can't even think of the names right now, but I work with you as well. So I definitely look forward to working with you all throughout the process, and we will go ahead and get started.
Awesome. And just to give you guys a heads up as well, we've got one of our wonderful students, Naisha Davis, on the call with us as well. What's up, Naisha? Naisha is actually going to speak to you guys a little bit later, but I just wanted to give her an opportunity to introduce herself as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Naisha. I'm a sophomore here at Guilford. I'm majoring in public health, and I'm here to answer any questions you have.
Thank you so much, Naisha.
All right, so we will go ahead and get started. So as we introduced ourselves, we are from Guilford College. So where we are in Greensboro, North Carolina. So this is the third largest city in North Carolina. So you get the great benefit of being both between both Raleigh and Charlotte, which means there's lots of opportunities for internships and jobs and just really having a social life as well. We're about 10 minutes from downtown. So you do get the beautiful feeling of not being too close, but not being too far as well. And then we are a part of a Greensboro consortium program with eight other schools. So those consist of UNC Greensboro, High Point University, Elon University, Guilford Technical Community College, Greensboro College, and a few others as well. And so we've mentioned that information because that means that students are able to take classes at any of those schools for no additional cost. And so they'll be able to work with your registrar as well as your academic advisor to really help you pick the classes best for you. And then as far as some of the local attractions, we've had things such as North Carolina Folk Festival. We have the Greensboro Coliseum, which hosts many different events, as well as the UNCG basketball team. We have the International Civil Rights Museum, definitely recommend. And then we have the Tanger Center for Performing Arts Center, which actually just opened up in late March, and they will have some Broadway shows as well. So definitely check them out.
Little history for you guys about Guilford College. Guilford was actually founded in 1837 by the Quakers, or the Society of Friends. Most colleges have some sort of religious background. Guilford's happens to be Quaker. Although we are a Quaker-founded institution, we do not require that students take any Quaker theology courses or Quaker courses while they're on campus. Those courses are offered, but they are optional for our student body to take. When Guilford was founded back in the 1800s, we were actually originally called New Garden Boarding School, and our first class at New Garden Boarding School had 25 women and 25 men. So since Guilford started with a co-ed class of both 25 women and 25 men, that actually makes us the oldest co-ed institution in the South and the third oldest co-ed institution in the United States. The Quakers are a group of people that are very much focused on a common way of living or a common set of core values, as opposed to every single individual having to have the exact same belief system. So the Quakers in this day and age are very much focused on social justice, how they can be activists in our world, and how they can be a voice for people in our world today. This is not only something that the Quakers focus on today, but also dates back many, many years. Even the Quakers that founded Guilford College played a huge role in the early to mid 1800s. We actually have a tree on our campus that was a recognized stop on the Underground Railroad during that time. Although we're Quaker founded, less than 10% of our student body actually identify as Quaker. So our students here really experience Quakerism in 2 or 3 ways. The first is that it's a common practice on campus to call your professor by their first name. It's pretty chill on campus. You don't have to worry about going into class and addressing your professor as doctor or professor. You just simply get to call them by their first name. We just want to make sure that any barriers that students may feel between themselves and faculty members are broken down. We also do frequently ask students and staff and faculty to observe just a quick moment of silence, maybe before a class or before a meeting on campus, also dating back to our Quaker tradition.
So, although everybody does not have to be Quaker to go here, where you really see some of those Quaker traditions are also within our core values. So we have 7 core values that you really see in everyday life here at Guilford. So those are community, diversity, equality, excellence, integrity, justice, and stewardship. Each one of those have very different meanings, and it's something that we really value. So things such as community, it doesn't mean that you'll be best friends with everybody, but it means that you'll oftentimes be able to have those deep conversations and not want to kill each other afterwards. Things such as diversity, it means that we have over 40% of our students are of color, excuse me. It means that we have students coming from all over the world and all over the country to represent the school here. Things such as stewardship. We tie that in with sustainability. So we actually have a farm on the back of our campus where we grow some of our fruits and vegetables that go right back into the cafeteria here on campus. Also, if you were to go into the gym and get on the ellipticals, getting on there long enough will actually charge some of those hours back into the school. So you don't really just put these on our logos and branding and just say, oh, these are great things, but these are things that we really do believe in.
To tell you guys a little bit about who makes up our student body, where our student body comes from, and what our student body is interested in, we wanted to provide some of that information on this slide for you guys. First of all, we have about 1,400 students on Guilford's campus, and those students come from 38 different states and 16 different countries. Our average class size is 14 on campus, so students really have a strong opportunity to collaborate with the students that they're in class with. You will certainly get to know your professor well throughout your classes here at Guilford, and you will have the opportunity to really grow in relationship with those that are teaching you throughout your time here on campus. We have over 40 majors here at Guilford and numerous different minors that students can choose from as well. Those range from the humanities, the natural sciences, the social sciences, the arts, but our largest programs on campus are business administration, psychology, biology and health sciences, sports studies, and criminal justice. We also have a graduate program in criminal justice as well. And we're proud to be a part of a group of colleges that's been recognized throughout the country as small colleges that make a huge difference in students' lives, called Colleges That Change Lives, or CTCL.
So when looking at our 40 plus different majors, we have them broken up into different pathways. And so these pathways are a way to help students be able to find students within different majors that may be very similar associated with them. And that way they're able to have those outlets of saying, okay, so these are some people. So looking at the first pathway, we have social and linguistic studies. So this looks at things such as history, religion, philosophy, Spanish, and French. Then we have the natural sciences. So this looks at biologies, your public health, forensic biology, sustainable food systems. And then we have the management, math, and technology pathway that looks at some of the majors such as sports management, business, cyber and network security, and economics. And then finally, the artistic and human studies pathway that really looks at things such as psychology, experience design, theater, and education studies.
Quick note for you guys, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please don't hesitate to go ahead and type those questions into the chat. We're happy to answer those by typing an answer back to you, or just stopping the presentation and going ahead and answering that question live. We'll have some time for questions at the end as well, but if anything pops into your head throughout the presentation, please feel free to go ahead and put that question in the chat so we can make sure that we get that answered for you while you're here in the session. So Guilford has recently launched a new educational curriculum and initiative called the Guilford Edge on campus. We're going to dive into the specifics of the Guilford Edge here in the next couple of slides, but I wanted to break down the tenets of the Edge for you guys: explore, discover, gain, and experience.
So with the first E being explore, so this means that we're really looking to give you an education that is very hands-on, non-traditional, and it's going to be a whole lot of working with other people and working with others. And so the great thing about it is that instead of just normal 15-week semester that students would normally go through, we break it down into two portions. So there's a 3-week period and a 12-week period. So within that 3-week period, students take one class, focus on one thing. That can be something within their major, minor, general education, or an exploratory class of maybe if you're not sure what you want to major in. And so there's a lot of great benefits that can go with it. We do have study abroad programs, and we do have domestically study away programs as well. So some of those study abroad programs that we've had are trips to places such as a week and a half to Japan and a week and a half to Hawaii. We've had a trip that went to Poland and studied the prison systems. And that's just to name two of the many opportunities that you've been able to have. And then we do have some domestic areas as well, where we've had students go to places such as Utah and study geology. And so within that 3-week period, it's really just that opportunity for you to just focus on that one thing. Really opens up the door for you to be able to say, maybe if you're not a big fan of science and you just want to get rid of that science class as quick as possible, you can do that as well. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in that class for the full 15 weeks. And then students are able to do internships as well as accelerated classes as well through the 3 weeks. Then after that, that's when you move on to your 12-week portion where you take your normal 2 to 3 classes at that time.
The next tenet of the Guilford Edge is discover. So here at Guilford, we want to make sure that all of our students are supported throughout their academic journey on campus. So we take a team-based advising approach. So all students are actually partnered with multiple advisors throughout their time on campus to make sure that they have mentors and people that they can go to from the first day on campus until their graduation day to make sure that they're being as successful as possible, both in and outside of the classroom. The first two advisors that you're partnered with at Guilford are Guilford Guides. Guilford Guides are actually staff members on campus that actually all have backgrounds in education and advising. So they are here on campus to serve our student body and to help them be as successful as they can be. So each student has 2 Guilford Guides, 1 academic advising guide, and your academic advising guide will help you with things like class registration, also with things like figuring out how your strengths and your passions and maybe new things that you've discovered will translate into an actual college major for you. Your academic advising guide will also help you map out your course schedule. So let's say you study abroad for a semester during your sophomore year, and you want to make sure that your classes while you're studying abroad transfer back to Guilford. Your Guilford College your Guilford Academic Advising Guide will help you make sure that your classes are staying on track so you graduate within 4 years at Guilford. And you will also have a Guilford Career Advising Guide. A person that you can go to for anything and everything career or graduate school related. So they'll help you with things like getting your resume ready to go, interviewing skills. Our career advising guides bring in speakers. They host job fairs and graduate school fairs as well. When you get to the time in your Guilford career where you're looking for internships, they'll help you through that application process and ultimately prepare you for what's to come following your graduation, whether that be graduate school or entering into the workforce. In addition to our Guilford guides, we also pair students with a professor from their chosen major. So if you choose to study biology, you will be partnered with a major from the biology program. You will be partnered with a professor from the biology program who will also serve you as an advisor throughout your time at Guilford. Additionally, we pair students with peer mentors and alumni and professional resources as well.
So the G stands for gain. And so this is where we really want students to be able to gain more than just an education here at Guilford. So we want them to be able to gain those ethical leadership skills that they'll be able to take out into the workforce and actually use in everyday life. So it means that if you are taking a math class, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be algebra, for example. It could be something about how you're going to budget your life for the future. It means that we're going to take those skills that we're able to learn, and we do have a few different programs such within the Diversity and Equity and Inclusion Office, where they actually go out and they take that information that you've been learning in your classes. They look to develop a model that way they can go and help their selected community with the different problems that are going on directly affecting them. And so it's a really great opportunity for students to do more than just a simple, okay, so this is something that I'm learning in class, but I'm never going to use it again. Professors are really going to try their best to make it that way you're going to be able to use those skills in the future for a variety of different things. We also want students to be able to get internships as well. So it means more than just a go get an internship and go get coffee for somebody at that internship. We want it to be very hands-on. We want it to be something that you're going to be able to put on your resume and say, okay, this is something that I've learned. This is something that I've been able to gain through these valuable skills, and then really use that to your benefit in everything that you do.
And the last tenet of the Guilford Edge is experience. So we want to make sure that your experience at Guilford is what brings you back to campus as an alumni, is what makes Guilford College a second home for you throughout your college experience. So there are a few ways that we provide a really wide range of academic experiences for students outside of your classroom experience, getting to know your professors, access to hands-on learning, getting to collaborate with the students that you're in your class with. We also have support services on campus. So you can actually receive tutoring for any course on campus through our Learning and Writing Center. So if you have a tough chemistry class, you can head on up to the Learning Center and you can be partnered with a tutor to help you through that class. If you have a research paper or maybe an essay that was assigned to you and you need a little extra help with that, you can head up to the Writing Center and meet specifically with a writing tutor to get assistance with that paper. For any students that need accommodations, either in or outside of the classroom, you can work one-on-one with a counselor from the Accessibility Resource Center on campus. They will create a personalized accommodation plan for you and then share that information with your professors or your resident advisors in your residence hall. We also offer free mental health counseling for all of our students on campus through our counseling center as well. In addition to our support services, we have numerous clubs and organizations and arts and athletics that students can take part in as well. One of our traditions on campus is an experience called Serendipity. Serendipity is a week of great fun for students that happens every spring. It's kind of like Guilford's version of a spring fling. get through that final spring semester and have a great week of events on campus, such as comedy shows, festivals by the lake, a color war, and different concerts led by musical acts that Guilford brings in for the students. We also have over 80% of our student body that live on campus. We have 2 first-year residence halls that have both been recently renovated and are extremely nice places for students to reside. And we also have multiple upperclassmen apartment options as well for students to live on campus.
All right. So when looking at some of those clubs and organizations, we have over 50 academic, social, and religious-based clubs that students are really able to take part of. And so this includes things such as student government, outdoors club, pride, African Student Association, German club, pre-law club, and the list goes on. And so that's really just a really great benefit for us, because that means that we have lots of different things for students to be involved in. We understand that there's many studies out there that say that students who are involved in extracurricular activities actually do better in college. And so we want to provide those opportunities for students. It also means that if you're a student who, if you're looking at that list and saying, you know, there's just something that doesn't quite fit for me, that means all you have to do is get yourself and a few other friends together, and you can get a club started by yourselves. That way you can participate in something that you're interested in as well.
We also have a very vibrant art scene on campus. Within our visual arts program, you can major or minor in the visual arts, or even as a student who doesn't major or minor in visual arts, theater, or music, you can still participate in those classes and in those activities on campus. So within our visual arts department, we have drawing, painting, sculpture, ceramics, printmaking, and photography. Within our music department, any student on campus can participate in either instrumental or vocal ensembles. We have multiple jazz combos every semester, as well as a jazz ensemble, a classical guitar ensemble, a mixed college choir, as well as a treble ensemble called Lumina. And we also have our Voices of Victory gospel choir on campus. We do have a music production track as well, and a small recording studio on campus that are for students that are interested in recording their own music. For any of you guys that are interested in radio, we have an award-winning radio station on campus called WQFS. Students can actually learn how and host their own radio show on campus, which is a pretty neat way to be involved and get involved in our student body here on campus. We also have a theater department and a black box theater called Sternberger Auditorium on campus. I've been to about 5 or 6 different shows in Sternberger Auditorium. It's really amazing because every time I go to a show, it's a completely different set and a completely different seating arrangement. So it's a great space, and it's really incredible to see the numerous different ways that our theater department can arrange that space that's specific to the show and the seating that they need. Also, we have an award-winning newspaper and magazine on campus called the Guilfordian and the Greenleaf Review.
All right, so for all of my athletes out here, we do have athletics here on campus. We are Division III, and so that means that there are no athletic scholarships, but it does mean that we are in the Old Dominion Athletic Conference, which means that you have the opportunity to be able to play your sports either right here in the city of Greensboro or in the state of Virginia, where all of our conference games are. We do have Division III schools within the state of North Carolina as well, but we raise our students to a higher academic standard, which is why we're in a different conference than everybody else in North Carolina. We have 11 women's sports and 9 men's sports. And so some of those sports include football, track and field, cross country, tennis, and then our 2 newest sports are women's rugby and women's triathlon.
So most of you guys are probably in your senior year, and although it has been a difficult senior year for you guys, we are excited for you to start the application process, to get out there, to start building your college list, to start receiving your college acceptance packets is so exciting. We want you to know that we are here for you as admission counselors throughout that process. We will do whatever we can to help clarify things for you, to answer questions for you, and to help make the application process as easy and accessible as possible. There are 3 ways to apply to Guilford, and it's always free, so you don't ever have to worry about paying an application fee. You can apply via the Common Application, the College Foundation of North Carolina, or the CFNC application, or the Guilford College application for admission, which can be found on our website. In addition to your application, we need a few different things to be submitted with your application. The first thing that we need is your transcript. So you can actually submit a copy of your transcript if you have one. It does not have to be an official copy for us to read your application. Or you can get in touch with your guidance or your college counseling office at school, and they can send your transcript to Guilford as well. When we read a transcript, we look at students' weighted GPAs. So we want to reward students for challenging themselves academically with honors classes, AP classes, or things like IB classes or dual enrollment classes through local community colleges. So if you've taken those weighted classes, that will not only be shown to us through that transcript, but also through your weighted GPA, and you will definitely receive credit for challenging yourself academically in that way. We also want to make sure that when you're filling out the application, you put some time into that extracurricular section. So anything that you've been a part of in high school, any clubs that you've participated in at school, any community activities that you've participated in, if you're an athlete, if you're a musician, or a poet, or a writer, or an actor, make sure that you include those things on your application with details for us. Certainly, if you've had any service work or leadership experiences, if you've had any jobs throughout the summer or the school year, make sure that you include that information on your application as well. We do ask students to submit a personal essay with their application. So that personal essay topic is totally your choice. We actually don't specify a topic for the personal essay. We really want students to be able to choose the topic that best fits them. You know, what would you like to share with a college that you're applying to? That topic is completely up to you. If you want to write about something that you've accomplished, maybe something that you've overcome, how you've grown throughout the past few years, how you've handled the COVID-19 pandemic. Those are just a few options that you could consider using for your personal essay on your Guilford College application. As many of you know, it has been increasingly difficult for students to actually schedule and take either the SAT or the ACT test this past year. So you are not required to submit your SAT or ACT test scores on your Guilford application. So Guilford is a school, since you're not required to submit test scores, that's called test optional. If you hear that term, just means that you don't have to submit test scores. And although that is super helpful this year, Guilford has actually been test optional for many years. So if you choose not to submit scores, you can submit 2 things to take the place of your score, but you only have to submit one of them. So it's either or. You can either submit a test optional essay where you choose one of Guilford's core values, such as excellence or diversity, and you write a short essay telling us what that value means to you. So that's the first option. Or you can submit a paper that you wrote for a class in high school. So if you wrote a research paper for English class, or you wrote an essay for history, or any paper that you wrote for a high school class, you can email that paper to your admission counselor. We'll go ahead and attach that to your application, and we will not need you to submit SAT or ACT scores. If you do choose to submit scores, that's a-okay too. All you need to do is just take a screenshot of those scores, send it to us, and then we'll attach those to your application. You don't need to pay for those scores to be sent. We do ask you to keep December 1st in your mind as our early action deadline. So if you can get your application and your application materials like your essay, your transcript, and your test scores or your test optional option in by December 1st, then the latest that you will hear from us with your decision and scholarship offer is December 31st. That being said, we try to turn our applications around within about 2 weeks. So if you submit things earlier, then you're going to hear from us earlier than December 31st as well.
All right, so the financial side of things, the money talk, everybody loves that. So when looking at our application, as Morgan mentioned, we recommend you put everything on the application. So everything that you've been involved in, whether it's 1 million, one thing, or 50 million different things, include that information, because when we are looking to give you merit-based scholarship, we will look at everything within the application. And so every student receives anywhere between $10,000 and $25,000 worth, and that's going to be based off of your GPA, your test scores, or test optional essay, your extracurricular activities, your personal essay, anything that you include on that application. We're going to take the time to read it. So it's more than just we're going to go and put your GPA in the system and say, okay, it has to be above whatever it is, or else we're not going to read it at all. We're going to read every single application that comes across our computer screen. And then we're on a 4-year tuition freeze, so you never have to worry about your tuition going up. Tuition oftentimes goes up each year at every school, but with us, you're set. You're good to go. And then we do have 3 scholarship programs. So the Bonner Leaders Program, the Quaker Leadership Scholars Program, and the Honors Program. All of those are great programs in their own rights. The Bonner Leaders Program is one that we will be able to look at your application, and it'll be based off of community service that you've taken part in and that you've informed us on within your application. The Quaker Leadership Scholarship Program is one where if you are a student who has been in religious activities, especially surrounding the Quaker religion, that really can help. Include that information on your application, as that will be able to help you potentially as well. And then the Honors Program as well, that's one where we're going to be able to look at your weighted GPA as well as your test scores or test optional essay to see if you are able to be recommended for the Honors Program. And then we encourage all of our students to file the FAFSA. Filing the FAFSA automatically opens the door for some additional scholarships potentially. So it's one of those where even if you feel that you won't be able to get a single dollar from FAFSA, we still encourage you to file that. And then finally, for our students who are unable to file the FAFSA, we have the financial aid assessment worksheet. That's one that you're able to speak with either your admissions counselor or your financial aid counselor, and we can definitely talk to you about that process as well, but it helps to get you some additional scholarship funding as well.
I just want to add something real quick. The FAFSA does open October 1st, so definitely check that out and fill out that application as soon as possible so you can get the most funding.
Absolutely, for sure. Well, you guys, that actually brings us to the end of our official presentation. We want to thank you so much for sticking with us. And now on to the fun part. So you guys are going to get to hear a little bit from Naisha and what she loves about Guilford.
Hi, everyone. All right, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about my experience. I do track and cross country currently right now for Guilford College. I'm part of the BSU club, and what that is, it's the Black Student Union Club. It's one of the many diversity clubs here on campus. We also have a Latinx club. We have a HUG club, Hispanos Unidos, forgot the G. We have a Pride club. So we have multiple diversity clubs that fit all of your guys' needs. My experience so far on campus has been phenomenal. I think it's community-based. While we are not a big university, it's very small and tight-knit. And what that means in my personal experience is that I know all my professors on a first-name basis. I know all the workers in the cafeteria, our fast food service, the grill. I know everyone in the coffee house. I know our public safety by first name. So like, I'd be, hey, Dave, there you are. I got locked out in my room again. I need some help. Or I see my friends just walking around or just chilling on the quad. So it's very like open, like it's very family. You feel like you're part of a family here on campus rather than going to a big university and you just don't know anybody at all. And you got to call them by the last name. But yeah, my experience has been really great, really nice.
Thank you so much, Naisha. We really appreciate you offering your experience to our students that are on the call today. And we also wanted to provide you guys an opportunity to ask some questions with a current student present. So you guys, please feel free to go ahead and type some questions that you have about Guilford in the chat. And we will actually answer some of those questions live right now.
Yes, just flood the chat. I will answer anything you have. Any ask me my favorite color, anything, go for it. Was that one question answered about the internship?
Yes, I did actually type that answer back to our student that had inquired about internship opportunities within our business department. So some examples of internships within that department or past internships with the American Red Cross here in the city of Greensboro, Procter & Gamble, the Scenic Corporation, and also the Greensboro Swarm, which is kind of like a minor league basketball team here in the city of Greensboro as well.
Right, awesome.
Alrighty, so we have a student from a question here. Would you mind, Naisha, letting everyone know why you chose Guilford College when you were going through your application process?
Okay, awesome. Well, fun fact, I was homeschooled and I graduated a year early. So I took a gap year and I applied to many different universities in North Carolina. What made me choose Guilford wasn't not only just aid, even though they gave me the most scholarships. Really, I wanted to participate in I wanted to be on a small campus and feel like, part of the community and give back to the community and volunteer opportunities rather than a big university and partying and drinking. And that's not something that we have here at this college. Like, we don't have fraternities and we don't have Greek housing or any of that. So it gave me a better chance to focus on my academics.
Awesome. Thank you, Naisha.
You're welcome.
Naisha's lived quite a few different places.
Yes.
Isn't that right, Naisha?
Yes. I come from a heavily military background. So both my parents are veterans, the Army and the Marines. I've lived in New York, North Carolina, Georgia, Washington State, somewhere else. I think Florida. Yeah, I lived in Florida too for a little bit. I never went out the country. Thank God.
And now home to Guilford College in Greensboro.
Yes.
There you go. We've got another question for you here, Naisha.
Awesome.
Sean asks, what type of internships are available? Are they just during the semesters? Or can you do internships during the summer? Kind of how does that work?
We do have some internships that may be offered only for that certain semester or during the summer. It's a good question.
Sean, it really just depends on which specific program you're involved in and what that year is and what's going on campus. So we have internships that are put together and led by faculty members on campus through their own personal connections. Sometimes students also put together internships from their own personal connections. So maybe they're from a different state and they head back home and complete an internship with a family contact that they have over the summer or something like that. But also, specifically looking at sports management. Cool. So actually specifically within that program here at Guilford, it is one of our largest majors on campus. And our sports management professors are extremely involved in the lives of our students. So they have numerous internship opportunities through their connections here within the city of Greensboro and the surrounding areas. So most likely, you would be looking at likely doing an internship during one of your semesters here on campus, whether that be for a full semester or for a 3-week course. Recently, actually, we had some of our sports management students do an internship during the 3-week, and they did that internship with local athletic directors at high schools and colleges. And that internship was led by one of our faculty members on campus, Craig Eilbacher. So he advised the students through that process. So most likely you'd be here doing an internship during the semester, but if you happen to have great contacts back home and you really wanted to get that on-the-job experience throughout the summer, our faculty members, just like Craig, would help you put together an internship for a summer experience as well.
Also, when looking at the sports management specifically, we've had some really cool internships for students across the nation. So I know that recently, about 2 or 3 years ago, there was a student who went out and interned at the San Diego Padres, so Major League Baseball team. I actually was down in Florida 2 years ago, and I met a vice president who actually went to Guilford College. And so you really are able to see that those internships do come in the form of jobs later on for sure as well. So it's more than just okay, you have this experience and that's it, but it's something that you also get to take with you and you get to build upon as well.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. We have just a couple of minutes left with our time together today. If anyone has any other questions, please feel free to put those in the chat and we would be happy to answer those for you guys today.
Yes, we have a question about what are some fun things to do on campus? Ooh, let's see. Well, on campus here at Guilford College, we have over 300 acres of land, and included in that, we have our personal campus woods with many trails throughout the woods. That's also where the Underground Railroad tree is located. So I myself, I go hiking up there all the time. Right now it's raining, so I can't do it now, but it's really nice. They're all they're trailed, so you wouldn't get lost, and they're really beautiful. I think there's, we also have a campus lake also right before you get to the woods. So we've had our provost, I think they had a canoeing war on the lake. It was really interesting. You can also fish at the lake. You just have to throw them back. See, other fun things to do. Really, if you participate in many of our clubs, we'll always have activities happening on the quad. We've had recently movie night on the quad as well. We watched Crazy Rich Asians on a big portable, a blow up screen. So that was really fun. And all the students got to receive free Chick-fil-A food, little gift cards. So I was like, yes. But there's many fun things to do on campus, and not just on campus, also around campus as well. Like a mall, we have mountains, we have beaches 2 hours away. Everything is very local in Greensboro.
Also, one thing that Naisha was telling me that she used to do last year before the pandemic hit was she would go bowling with her friends as well at one of the bowling alleys, and where they have dollar bowling night on Mondays. So definitely a great perk. You get to see some great bowlers for a fun price.
Yes.
We've got just one more question that was just put in the chat, you guys.
Awesome.
One of our students has asked kind of what the academic life is like in college. So how do you go about, making sure that you succeed in your classes? So here at Guilford, you're going to work with your professors and also collaborate with fellow students in the classroom. For any outside help that's needed, you have access to tutors, both for specific subjects and also for writing. Our professors will they will frequently assign writing assignments to students. You will likely have tests in your classes as well, but you will certainly have writing assignments and presentations that you're responsible for. Some of those might be group work as well. You might have a group presentation or group paper. And then our professors will give students grades through their classes that will result in a grade at the end of the semester for each student. As long as you go to class every time the class meets and you turn in your work on time and you ask for help when needed, you will absolutely be successful in college. Those are the keys to success right there. Showing up to class, doing your work on time, and asking for help. Absolutely, if you do those things, you will be successful in your college experience. Well, you guys, that brings us to the end of our time together. I will show this one last screen just for a minute here. My contact information and my colleague Jalen's contact information. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us via email or phone or text with any further questions. And I'll turn it back over to StriveScan.
Well, thank you all so much. I have one closing slide that I'd like to share with our students today. But again, panelists, thank you so much for your time. Students, thank you for joining us as well. When you close out the window, there will be a link to a very quick and brief survey so that we can continue to collect feedback as to how to improve these programs in the future. Also, this is just one of many sessions being offered, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions at CACRAO, CACRAO.org. In about a week, you'll be able to find this session along with many others on that same exact website, so we encourage you to explore other sessions also. Thank you so much and have a wonderful afternoon.